Good morning, Dynafin. I see you all already at the office or at the office of customers. Is that right?
Correct.
Good. That's correct.
It's good to see you all, and thank you very much for joining me so early in the day. That's when you have business to do during the day, right?
Absolutely.
I would like to thank you all for participating again in the RegTechBlackbook. It has not been the first time. Dynafin and particularly Jo has been involved in the first book. So thank you for it very much. And this time around, you guys chose and you helped me to enlighten the audience with some insights around KYC. So that's really nice because a lot of things are happening around KYC nowadays, a lot of things around AML, but it's good to deep dive. And maybe my first question would be, we talk about KYC, but the only thing I hear at the moment is KYT. Alexandre, is that right? Is that a trend which is forming at the moment?
That's correct, because at KYC point of view, we have done already a lot, but we have still a lot of room to perform on the KYT part. Sorry. We read an interesting publication by Ronald Bold in 2020, which said that if we try to estimate all the money that was invested by all the financial institutions in AML jobs, it's up to 180 billions of US dollar. And if you compare that with all the money we were able to identify due to AML problem, we are only 1/100 of it. So it means that we have still a lot of room to do to try to detect all this transaction that's going back and forth to hide the originator of all this problem. So for sure, we really have a lot to do with the KYT. And I think the main issue we have is that for the moment, a financial institution can only look at what happens in its financial institution.
Yeah.
And if we see what the others are doing or what the bad guys are doing, they are doing hundreds or thousands of transactions across different jurisdictions and across different entities. So we are only seeing a part of the problem. It's very, very difficult to identify something. So we really have to do something to be able to monitor at a higher level, to be able to have the high picture, the big picture of the problem, and not only a small part of it. And that we really increase the efficiency of all the billions we are investing in money laundering for the moment.
No, I totally agree. And this is something that it's somehow coming back very often in the book. It's from time to time being referred to as a subtech, but it's also identified as being, you need to have collaboration between the regulator because they are the one that received all the data, or not yet, they asked for it after 2008, regulations were asking for it. But yeah, I agree with you. If you would be able to put same technology on a larger scale of data, of course, you're more likely to find better results. It's no rocket science. Yeah,
exactly. The technology is there. We are using it for decades from now, but you really need to have all the data to use it. So this is really the problem, and the legislator should really step into this problem and to provide some tools and some legislation to perform this.
Yeah, it's also the idea that at the end of the day, it's an industry which is fighting against crime. It's not just one single bank fighting against crime.
Yeah, exactly.
There should be the cause should be very clear on that. No, thanks for elaborating a little bit on that. Yeah, KYC as such, not talking about the transaction part, it's also still challenging for banks, insurers, financial institutions. What would be your view on that? Perhaps asking this to you.
Yeah, thanks, Koen. It's indeed still challenging. Reason why we were anxious to know a bit about, let's say, the maturity in the Belgian market. So we are talking about these new technologies and the use of data. So Dynafin was interested to know, okay, how mature is the Belgian market in performing automated KYC processing.
Interesting.
We decided last year to participate in a market survey that we did together with a university called Solvay Consulting Club. We targeted the Belgian private and retail banks, and we asked them about their current maturity, but especially also about their future projects and how they would further evolve in automating these KYC processes. So very interesting results where we see that retail banking has moved towards a digital first client onboarding and client screening, where we see private banking is still asking clients to come to the office to be onboarded physically together with their advisor, but also with digital support. So we also see in private banking the move towards digital, and then with digital comes all these new technologies. But it's clear that not all of our customers are already moving towards implementing AI, implementing this new way of working, as they are still in remediation programs, still trying to correct the past, because regulation is evolving, and so you need to do more controls, better controls, make use of more data, but you also have to look to the past. And that's where it's often a bit difficult. I know Alexandre, for example, on his program where he's working on, they're looking back, I think, 20, 30 years in the past. You need to imagine in the early 90s or end of 80s, customers did not provide with all these data to the banks. So there's a lot of difficulties also in gathering the data of past transactions and past
true. And that data that you talk about was probably not even wanted back then. It is that because of regulations, now you ask new data, and I think something very in at the moment, or something which is really hot topic on a lot of banks which are involved in investment. It's the questionnaire around ESG. It is new legislation, and we need to adapt. So it's interesting to see how that all pans out.
Yeah, and I think Alexandre pointed this out in the article, that regulation is moving fast and faster and faster. So the new AML directives are coming very fast compared to the past. Regulations, new controls to be put in place, so a lot of challenges for our customers. So interesting results we saw from our market survey, and different maturity levels in the Belgian market.
And I guess people can contact you, right, to get more insights on the investigations.
Yeah, the first idea was to share these feedbacks with the participants, of course. So we had over 16 banks participating, so they received already the insights, and so we discussed with them let's say the market maturity, without disclosing, of course, any confidential information. But others who did not participate to this survey are more than welcome to discuss with us.
Cool. Now that's for me a view from the bank. But yeah, if you look at KYC more general, it also potentially has issues on the work floor. And I was wondering, Monica, would you be able to enlighten us a little bit with your experience, the experience of your team? What do you see as the challenges on the work floor at the moment?
So on the floor, I would say that the main challenge would be finding the right resources, because very often, sadly enough, it is considered as an entry-level type of work, because people tend to amalgamate that to just the data collection part. And but if you think about, it's not only about data collection, but you also have, to start assessing those documents, assessing risk, the risk of the relationship the bank is taking with that physical person or legal entity. Then you start understanding the complexity of the job. You need analytical skills. You need you're almost a policeman, trying to investigate a file or a case to assess the right risk. Very often, those experts need to talk the two main languages and also of the country, and also English, because they need to assess and understand the documents they are reading. So yeah, it's quite a challenging type of profile to find, but I would say that we are very lucky at Dynafin, because we have been over the years constructed a pool of experts, and so that makes our lives more easy, and I hope it's making the client's life more easy. And what we do often with those experts is we try to reunite them, because being at different clients, witnessing different type of processes, they can share the experience, and we can also have a good view of what's happening on the floor and the challenges that the clients are facing. So yeah, that's an important part. And also at Dynafin, we really insist on continuous education. And so with the expert, and sometimes with the help of external parties as well, we are constructing, maybe real time, I would say, education and trainings for them. So we remain all, at the same level, and we remain, with this contact on what is happening today within.
So do I understand that right? You guys have developed a sort of training program for.
Absolutely. And
the important one is that we try to combine our practical feedback from the market with theoretical certifications also.
And is that something that you only provide for your employees, or is it also open for people who are interested to become a KYC analyst, for example? Because there is indeed scarcity in the market. That's why I'm curious.
For the time being, we have only opened that to our employees. But for example, and when I say employees, let's extend a little bit. We have also some expert freelancers who have participated in the construction or also in the feedback we are trying to make on what's happening on the floor. But it's within the Dynafin walls. Still.
No, that I understand too. And more general, if you look at, okay, this was the RegTechBook, the sequel. We talk about a further maturity of RegTech. Do any of you have a particular view on how RegTech is tackling this KYC challenge as we have today? I know it's an open question, so.
But for the moment, we see a lot of newcomers. So if you see the number of RegTech or the solution proposed by RegTech is increasing every year. So we really see a lot of solutions. But we see also that there are some difficulties for the financial institution to adopt this new technology. So we think the regulator should more be included to put some certification of some accreditation that could really help this RegTech to be implemented in the sector. And I really think about the small actors, because the big one, they have a lot of resources that they could develop a lot themselves, but all the small one, they could really leverage on the fact that they could mutualize all the information, data, or resources they have to use this RegTech to have a very, very powerful solution. So we think it's ongoing, and we see that the FIFT is also providing some guidelines about new technology and RegTech, but there's still some room to do. And I think maybe at the country side, or the legislation of each country should be more included in this, and to help that, and to provide more guidance, and to help to provide a very good solution for all the actors.
And this is
one thing I would like to add, sorry, Koen, is
no worries.
Yeah, we talked about this in the beginning of the interview. Is okay, we're all fighting against this crime and doing the money laundering as best as we can. So I hear also Alexandre say, okay, not all financial institution has the same capacity of onboarding these new technologies. And we hosted a few weeks ago an interesting event at Dynafin where we invited the CEO of Google Belgium, and he said something which was very interesting. I thought about. They develop internal artificial intelligence solutions at Google, and once they develop interesting algorithms, they provide these to the market.
Cool.
Is this something that will happen in fighting money laundering? Creating together the best algorithms possible and sharing them, because we're all fighting against that.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
But this typically should be, in my opinion, if you ask me, it's typically a subtech initiative, because this is the regulator that should be taking the initiative. And further on Alexandre's point, you do see that already in the market. You do see, for example, in China, that they are now certifying their fintechs. What's the reason, but they are certifying the fintech. So it makes it more easy, if you want, for a fintech to be adopted by a bank and therefore also solving problems for the smaller ones. There's, for example, in the book, there is Anna Velvet. She is she's part of RegTech Canada. She's the president of RegTech Canada, and her article is only about that, how RegTech could actually help smaller, medium enterprises, banks, financial institutions, credit unions. So it's interesting to see that. I think we almost heading. Yeah, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead. I don't want to stop you.
If we compare that to the digital signature, that we have that already, you know, the European Union certified, you know, AIDs, they have certified a number of actors that can be used for digital signature. And then we can see that in the bank, in the study we did in Belgium, that almost all of them are using that. So it's really a good example that if we have technology that is working and has been certified by the regulator, it can be very quickly implemented. Because it's very easy to implement. There are all this kind of API that they can use for that. Very easy to implement, very easy to use, very user-friendly. And as soon as the government legitimate this, it can go very quick. So for me, it's really a good example of what should be done for the other technology in the frame of the
I know it's good that you bring that example, because yesterday I was in an event and I was talking about the new book. And I got a question out from the audience and said, but we are working for, it was a bank, and said that we are working on It's Me, or have been implementing It's Me. But I really never saw it that way. I never realized that this was RegTech. For me, this was a solution to a problem. And I kind of was very happy. I almost congratulated him or the industry, because this means that nowadays we are really solving problems. And that may have been also the intention from the start from RegTech, because it was all about solving the problems of the bank. So if nowadays the business doesn't even realize this is RegTech, this is really good. It's a really good step forward, in my opinion. But I was about to say, we are close to the end of this conversation. And yeah, I always feel that actually with all the contributors in the book, and I'm starting to realize that I always add the same way, but we have a passion for it, that we keep on discussing, because there's so much to be discussed about. So I'm sure that once we see each other again, there's more discussions following. But for now, I would like to thank you, all three of you. Actually, also the fourth person, the fifth person, if you want. There's also Jean-Francois, who also contributed. So thank you very much to all of you. Thank you very much for participating today. And thank you very much also to the listening audience. And I would like to urge you to like, share, comment, get in contact with us, and share the message about RegTech. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Koen.